Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. And we are here a little bit early, a little different day. So usually we do Monday nights, but we have a lot going on because we are moving. So we're actually moving, and so that's why we're doing it tonight. So I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you're here. If you'd like a reading, best thing to do is to put your birthday time, birthday, date, location, and your current location as best to your ability. If you don't know your time of birth, that's okay. Just let us know that, okay? And we'll do our best to take a look at your chart. And here we are in the end of a Mercury retrograde. So if you feel like stuff has been kind of a little funky, that's because of the Mercury retrograde. Hola, Nelvin. Hola. Hi, Valentin. Valentin, looks like you're trying to tell us your birthday, but we need all the information.
Yeah, that's not enough, not near enough. Um, have you noticed a difference this week with Jupiter going direct? Maybe it feels like there's been a weight lifted or somebody took the handbrake off. Hopefully, you've noticed it. Those of us who are Sagittarians, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And so I've definitely noticed it big time. And then, of course, the other thing that happened at the same time with Jupiter is that Jupiter is at its absolute exaltation in Cancer. 15 degrees Cancer is like the high point for Jupiter in Cancer. So there's a very different energy happening now. And I think people are going to notice. We're in a post lunar eclipse cycle. The eclipse happen a couple times a year. There's always two of them, a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse. And of course, the most recent one was in Virgo, full moon in Virgo, lunar eclipse. So those have a ripple that goes out from the eclipse time. That tends to be, and of course, eclipses are all about bringing things to a completion and initiating the next thing. So, of course, it's about death and rebirth, which, of course, is very Pluto like. And of course, everybody's is going to be a little bit different, which is why we're happy to look at your charts very specifically for you, because astrology is definitely what's in it for me. It definitely answers that question. Yeah, that sounds great, but what does it mean for me? It's very personal. So we're happy to look at it for you with you. And of course, to do that, we'll cast your chart and we need the date, the time, location, and then to help you understand what's currently going on your current location, especially if where you were born and where you are now are vastly different. And
oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. So I already have Serena. Serena, I have your information. I put it in a chart. Let me just say, first of all, in case you didn't know, you're of course an Aries. You're a Libra rising and a Scorpio moon. I'm just gonna say that if you feel kind of intense right now, especially around relationships, yeah, especially since about February 20th ish, maybe a little bit before, a little bit after. Both Saturn and Neptune are in your sign where you have a stellium, and that's going to create like kind of some intensity for you. Because you have a lot of planets in Aries. You actually have like four. I guess technically four. You have the Sun and Chiron and Mercury and the part of Fortune. And right now, Saturn is on Mercury and Mercury's retrograde. So I wonder if you feel a little silenced right now, Serena, or you feel like in relationships someone can't hear you or you feel unheard. Um, especially with Saturn on there. You know what I mean? Saturn's kind of restrictive. It also makes me think of like Saturn also represents like father, the system. Um, you might feel a little frustrated as far as the system goes. You got a big year coming up this year because you have also a couple of planets in Aquarius, and that's going to feel really intense as the North Node moves into there. The nodes have been in Pisces, which has been kind of quiet for you, but you've probably had a little bit of change in your day to day life in the last 2 years. But I suspect since about February 20th, you've been this Mercury retrograde's not too bad, but it's probably brought a few blessings in for you. It hasn't been horrible. Um, and Jupiter just went direct, so she probably, assuming Serena is a she probably noticed when Jupiter went direct last week. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you have withdrawn. That's probably that's something you're kind of going through, Serena. We have a big transit through Aries, and Aries for you rules your house of like relationships, and it's not just romantic relationships. It's also like friendships, family, just about anyone. And this could lead you to just making some changes in those areas. Could mean to absolutely being alone. It's interesting because Aries is the independent sign. It is about being sort of independent on your own. Um, and that's really the energy that is being brought forth right now. Um, so, and it's not just like, it's not necessarily about other people. It's probably more about you finding some things out about yourself. That's going to intensify over the next couple of years, actually. This is not a short phase. It will probably be going on for quite some time. And then on top of that, you have Uranus entering Gemini, which rules your house of like higher thinking, education, things like that. Okay. So you're probably going to have some surprises in that department. I don't know if you're in school or if you plan to go to school or how old you are or if you're into meditation or spiritual awakenings. Those kinds of things could all be present. Now, and then with the North Node moving into Aquarius, that could bring forth some relationship stuff, like romantic relationship. The thing about it though is that it's going into Aquarius, not Capricorn. And the thing about it is, and Capricorn is what rules your house of romantic relationships. Do you have kids, Serena? And what are your but it could change your day-to-day life or change the way things are. You could meet somebody. Definitely, you could definitely meet somebody during this time. Absolutely. So yeah, I can two adult children. I'm not surprised to hear that, Serena. There could be something, especially if you have a male adult child, just something about him. Um, but there could also be some other things about your past that you're letting go of, especially as Jupiter finishes there. And then it will move into Leo. And when it does that, I feel like that's really going to change who your friends are and who you're influenced by. And that will change over time. I can go more in depth in a reading, but just so you know, you have quite a busy year going on, or probably a couple of years actually. So you have a lot going on, Serena. You are definitely experiencing a lot of transits right now that you can probably feel and sense for sure. Okay, so yeah, so your boys, there'll probably something come up this summer about them. Okay. Not necessarily a bad thing, just something you might have to do with them, or they might become more pronounced in your life. Maybe they have kids or something like that. Okay. Hi, Sammy. Hi, Sammy says bye. Okay. Hi, Sammy. Um, and there's a lot of so I do private readings, and that's why we get together in Zoom, so that I can go into detail for people and really look at your chart. But if you want me to take a look at it, we are in a Mercury retrograde right now, and it is ending this week coming up. So next weekend it will be over, and so that's good. And this has been a pretty easy Mercury retrograde. Not everything has to be drama with astrology, although you wouldn't know by watching pop astrology. There's two different kinds of astrology, I always say, and I just like to educate people a little bit. Because sometimes I even watch what I call bubblegum astrology, because it's literally like bubblegum. It tastes good for a little while, but then you realize it's not very deep. And it just kind of wears out after a while. And then you're kind of like, eh, and that's bubblegum astrology. And then there's deeper spiritual astrology, which goes really deep into like your past lives and your future and your destiny and your connections with people. Um, there's all those kinds of things, like that's really what astrology is here for. Not everybody reads like that. Some people are more into pop astrology and they just think it's fun. For me, it's a spiritual path. So I use it a lot to know exactly what to do next, know when I'm on the track, right? Right, Bright Hawk? I'd say there's definitely two different kinds. Like the pop astrology is some of the stuff you see online.
Well, there's definitely major times in our life when astrology is absolutely vital. And there's so many people I've heard, and myself included, really start paying attention to astrology about the time your first Saturn return hits, if you haven't already. Saturn return becomes a what is happening? And there's so much that can be explained about what life is trying to tell you and what the roadmap looks like when you get your first astrology reading. For me, oh, it was profound. And I felt like I finally stopped trying to rub out what was my actual freckles. Those spots are part of you. Stop trying to rub them out. It led to a lot of self-acceptance about, I think we're all trying to evolve and change. And there were parts of me that I was trying to change that I realized that's not you. Don't change that. That's who you are. And astrology helped me really embrace those core, this is who you are vibes, how to do yourself really, how to, I believe that we live many lives and that before we come here, we use our astrology and our uh, other cohorts that we're going to incarnate with to come up with what is this soul what is this soul, your overall life, what does it need this time around, and then we all get to discover what that is. And I think you save yourself a lot of time and frustration when you start to understand yourself through the lens of astrology. And the Saturn return, really, a lot of people say you have not grown up until you've gotten through your first Saturn return. So by the time you're 30, 31, Saturn return usually starts around 28, goes for several years. It's not a 1 year or 1 month or anything like that. It reverberates for years. Some people are still feeling it in 31, 32, and then you start to finally realize what it's all trying to show you, and it's like, oh. So I recently finished, or I still feel like I'm in the finishing cycle of my second Saturn return. And Saturn is quite a teacher. Saturn is authority. Saturn is the father figure. Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn can be very strict, can be very, did you do it? Have you done it? Is it done yet? Taskmaster kind of vibe. Venus, on the other hand, is all about our relationships and how we do relationship versus the moon, which is about our emotional field, right? And that's why we always want to know what time, because if we know the time, then we can be so much more accurate because it'll give us the rising sign and accuracy in the placement of the houses. And that tells us a tremendous amount about how things are unfolding for you. So when we're putting a horoscope together, when we're trying to understand the horoscope for any particular sign for a week or a month, that's what we really need. Is we really need to know what sign things are happening, what the houses things are happening in, because it'll tell us everything about, oh, this is happening in your health sector, this is happening in your housing sector, or work, or what have you. So there's so much that we can benefit from with astrology, and we love to share it, can you tell? And of course every week we put out our Rainbow Soul astrology forecast, and then we do the horoscope reels. And this is how we do it. This is why we do it, to help you navigate the week.
Yep. And in fact, I'll put a link to this week's horoscope has already been released. So this upcoming week's horoscope has already been released on YouTube there. I just put the link in the comments if you're interested in that. You can watch that and we'll tell you all about each day. We'll break it down day by day for you. And if you subscribe to the YouTube or the Facebook page, wherever you end up, you'll be able to get the reels with the horoscopes. You can also catch the written horoscopes for each sign. I also write them out. I pretty much just sum up what I say and then put it in a written format. And I do that on Substack. So, and I also do an email if you go to my website. But here's the Substack. Most people are on Substack, right? So you can click on that link and it will take you to the Substack, this week's Substack with the horoscopes broken down for you, so you can see each one. And I feel like that is really I feel like astrology is like it's my map, it's a map to my life. Anytime something is going wrong, first thing I do is look at my astrology chart. um and I think about the astrology because it helps me understand that I'm not a victim of the moment, I'm not a victim of life, especially when things are hard. Especially like right now, when you take a look around at our culture and everything that's going around, a lot of us could feel like we're all in a lot of danger, and it's very fear based in the world right now. And while it's not exactly the safest time in our history, for sure not. And we definitely have some problems we need to work on, right? For sure. And there's a lot of separation and feels like we're on the edge of war and all that. And all that's spoken in the astrology. And so part of me starts to say, well, I guess if something happens, um, then I was meant to be part of that. Right. Okay. And if, and hopefully that's not what happens. But yeah, but that could happen. And I just accept that that could happen. You can't walk around worrying about these things. And you'll also see what your role is in these times of change, in these times of turbulence, in these times of what the heck is going on, right? When you look at the news and things of that nature, it could be very frustrating. And to be frank with you, I just feel like it would be very easy to to get lost in it. And I'll tell you, the most comforting thing I can do is watch an astrology forecast with a decent astrologer that's not fear based. And there's a lot of us out there. I will usually tell you, I'll be like, there could be something with the Epstein files or something like that revealed. I held you through the entire great reveal since last year. I guided everybody through each week, explaining that, oh, there's going to be something else revealed. And each week that I said that, that's exactly what happened. because it was part of the reveal. The reveal is part of the process, and I also said that there was going to be war, and there is. um and I also said that, these things are going to happen, and that's and I can never tell if it's going to happen in, Iran, or if it's going to happen here. It's hard to say because we don't know. There's some free will and there are people making choices. But what I will say is, and sometimes I'm wrong about things too, but I will say that I usually listen to astrology because astrologers typically remind me that, no doubt, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. And so once we remember that, then it's a little bit easier to accept what's happening, especially right now. It can be really hard right now, right? We're all scared. We're all a little bit worried, and rightfully so. I did take a look at Bright Hawk. Maybe you're looking at Sammy's chart. I'm looking at Sammy's chart too. I noticed that she has a stellium and a pretty massive stellium in Scorpio. In case you didn't know, Sammy, you have like 5 planets, not counting the asteroids, in Scorpio.
And yeah, your sense of self, your sense of identity is very, very important during this lifetime. Um, you have literally Mercury, the North Node, Jupiter, Venus, and Pluto all in the first house. And the first house is who we are, our sense of self. That's a lot. We call a stellium when it's 3 or more planets in the same sign, and this is 6, including the North Node. So let's go through it a little bit. Mercury is all about communication, and your Mercury.
Here? Make sure Sammy's here.
Okay. Before we go real deep, are you here, Sammy? Can you confirm that you're here? Because we're about to deep dive on your chart. And if you're not here, okay, you're good. Awesome. So, so the first thing you probably already know is that you have a Libra sun, and your sun is in the 12th house. What does that mean? Well, the 12th house, I know all about it because I have a stellium in the 12th house. You have a stellium in the first house. What it means is that the 12th house is institutions, structure, the occult. It can be nursing homes and hospitals. It could be, it's also the house of self-sabotage. So your sun is in Libra. Libra is all about everybody should have a good time. Everybody should be well taken care of. They're like the perfect party host. They're they are ruled by Venus, and so relationships are really important. Libra's all about relationships. So sometimes you see Libras and they're here to learn about relationships, and sometimes some Libras are all about relationships. They're like masters of it already. Just because we have that sign doesn't mean that's what we come naturally good at. Sometimes it means that's what we have to learn. So a very important self-identity work in this lifetime. The top of the chart, you have Mars and Leo, which is get it done. That's a fire sign, of course. And of course, Mars is god of war, and Leo is all about being a noble leader, lion, right? So I would venture a guess that if you lose your temper, you might bite someone's head off. But I would also guess, because I have a Mars Leo, and I mean a moon in Leo, that it burns quickly. So it's really probably very important to you that leaders are noble and they do the right thing. Action, action, action is what you see with Mars. And so in Leo, that's going to be, uh, I'm curious, are you a natural leader? Do you find yourself naturally leading in a variety of circumstances? I'm just curious. The other thing that jumps out, and you have a lot of energy going to and from it, sextiles and trines, is you have the moon, Neptune, and Uranus all together in the third house. So that's the house of neighbors and siblings and our home and things like that. And then you have Saturn in Pisces. So you are on your Saturn return experience, no doubt. Um, I often do end up becoming trainers, leaders in work positions. I'm not surprised. That Mars in Leo is very strong. Um, but it's squaring the three. It's squaring the Mercury. So yeah, careful about getting tongue-tied. You also have Mercury retrograde, which means during this time of Mercury retrograde, maybe it's not as hard on you as it is on other people because it's sort of status quo. Yeah, so those are some of the things that jump out to me. If you have more specific questions, we can go there. And Hollis, feel free since you're also have the chart up.
When I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, first of all, Mercury's on your ascendant, Sammy. So Mercury's retrograde. It is in a square to Mars. So at times, sometimes you might feel like you have a little bit of communication problem, and sometimes you might say shit that you're like, that was a little on the sharp side there. And you
Mercury and
probably just,
Scorpio, they just can't help it. And the follow-up line is, well, it's true.
yeah, it's
Like,
usually
and
true.
everybody else is like, yeah, it's true, but you don't have to, say it so like you
Yeah.
don't realize how sharp you can be when you have a Mercury and Scorpio. And boy, you can say the thing that could literally crush someone.
Well, I think that also an original New Yorker. Of course you are, Sammy. Here's the hilarious thing about Mercury and Scorpio is that I'm a Scorpio rising. I tend to do this too. So you're also a Scorpio rising. First of all, you see through people. You just see through them. Like you can see, a scam coming a mile away. You can tell when people are you can tell when people are lying by their body language. You read their body language, you read their facial expressions, and generally, you might find yourself being misunderstood sometimes when you say things. It's usually what you're trying to say is the truth. You probably do better when Mercury's in retrograde if you pay attention. Um, but that's just because you were born with Mercury retrograde. So you'll do better at being under if you find yourself misunderstood or like people mistaking what you say, or having a hard time expressing exactly what you mean. um if you can, in wait till Mercury's in retrograde, you'll do better. um you have you have a lot going on in the first house, which makes me wonder about your physical body and your identity. And with it being in Scorpio, that's a lot of intensity. And it could speak to a lot of things in regards to that, to your physical body. Um, and The other thing that I noticed is that you have a Capricorn moon. I feel like that Capricorn moon is just going to ground you just enough. I feel like that's kind of your saving grace because you have all that. Scorpio is not bad signs, just that much Scorpio can feel kind of overwhelming and intense. It rules the hormonal system in the body, and those kinds of parts, and sometimes sexuality. So it can sometimes lead you to really intense experiences and an intense sense of being. And so you probably feel like you're a little bit more intense than the average human being. You might also see yourself as having a little bit more maybe integrity than the average human. And then with the Capricorn moon, that probably makes you it kind of grounds you out. It kind of helps you feel, it helps take the emotion out of things a little bit, because Capricorn is actually known, some people say is cold, but it's not really true. It's just that Capricorn doesn't have to feel every last inch of things. And that could be a nice counter to all of that, Scorpio. So, anyway, I don't know if you have a specific question. Those are just quick insights into your site, into your chart. I do notice that you have the South Node in Taurus, so that's going to speak to sometimes maybe staying around in relationships maybe a little bit longer than you should. But at this point, you've probably started to learn that lesson. Um, at this point, the South Node in Taurus, just so you know, there is a, the Uranus is going to be moving out of Taurus at the end of the year, or sorry, later in a like I think in about 6 weeks. What happens? There was something that happened last summer too that kind of gave you a heads up in regards to relationship, maybe other people's money, and other topics that may be uncomfortable for you to talk about, like sex, death, and taxes, or something else. Anyway, you could find that there's some sort of ending or some sort of sudden experience, as Uranus could be sudden or surprising as Uranus moves out of Taurus. And I just want to give you a heads up on that. And you are finishing your Saturn returns. So if things have been really intense for you, take it easy.
I'm going to jump on that bandwagon because right now, today, Mercury and Mars are conjunct, and they're also really conjunct with the North Node. They're all right, just a couple degrees, and that's literally on top of your Saturn in Pisces. So if things have heated up recently, that's why. It's because all of that is passing over your Saturn placement. Mars, Mercury, the North Node, and the moon is going to do it too. So you probably have been feeling that. And the other thing that I just sort of wanted to, I guess I resonate with this. Does the saying, "you don't suffer fools," mean anything to you? You have a Capricorn moon, which means it's in its fall because it's the farthest away from Cancer. It's opposite side of the chart. So two things there. One, Capricorn is considered the cool sign. Temperature-wise, it's cool. Capricorn is cool. It's not, hot-headed Aries. So when the moon is in Capricorn, not as emotional, and you have it with Neptune and Uranus. Neptune is also not strong in Capricorn because Capricorn is very clear-eyed. Its ruler is Saturn. Whereas opposed to Neptune, it's all that water, right? Neptune is all about, dreams and visions, but it can also be about illusion and not seeing things clearly because how well do you see underwater, right? And then you put in Uranus and you have all of these guys compacted together. Uranus is surprise, surprise, surprise. Surprise a minute and like massive surprise, like change everything surprise. Didn't see that coming. Oh my God. So you have those energies together. And so I'm curious about, the Capricorn moon makes me, opposite that Mars in Leo, makes me think, probably don't suffer fools well. And then you have that Mercury retrograde right on your ascendant. So, if somebody's not, with it, I'm just curious if you have patience or if you feel like, no, I'm not that person. I don't have patience. If you're still listening, Sammy, that's all about you. All right.
I just wanted to add that because Sammy's, not saying a lot, that in itself is Scorpio. because Scorpio, like Bright Hawk always says, plays their cards very close. They're not always into being revealed or seen, unless they want to be seen. Um, so there's probably moments that Sammy steps out and then it's like, oh, yeah. It's just that Scorpio doesn't like everything to be revealed. They tend to keep things to themselves. Um, yep. And I am emotional. Yeah, that's Scorpio. Like I said, super deep, super intense. But I do have a sense of I can get through whatever life hands me, even though I feel it's hard. Yeah, Scorpio is one of the bravest signs, other than Aries, maybe. Scorpio is very brave, known for being very, very brave, and you have a lot of energy there. Plus, you have Mars in Leo, which also is kind of a brave placement. And yeah, Sammy. Yeah, I noticed you weren't saying a whole lot, and I was like, that in itself is Scorpio because that's what Scorpio does. Scorpio is kind of tends to, play their cards close. Secretive, tends to have secrets. So sometimes astrology can be a little too revealing. So just make sure whoever your astrologer is, that you trust them, or maybe just learn it yourself, because you definitely could with that North Node in Scorpio. You definitely have, if you have a draw towards psychic abilities. Your sun is also in the 12th house. You know, and if Uranus and Neptune are conjunct, so you're actually amongst an entire um, uh, community, I'd say, an entire generation of people that have Uranus and Neptune conjunct. So that's forward. And this tends to add to some intuition about life path and things like that. Um, so I just want to say that that Uranus Neptune came with most of your generation, and yours are both forward. They're just 2 degrees apart. They're in Capricorn, which is a little bit more earthy, but I think it's really important because I think that your generation is what's going to help see us through capitalism, which is actually really great because we gotta move out of capitalism. In case you haven't heard or figured it out, I'm sure most of your generation seems to kind of inherently know that capitalism is about to crash. Um, and we're kind of like steering a crashing ship, if you will. And that's your generation has Capricorn rules like the system and money and things like that. And Uranus is the life path, and Neptune is vision, like visionary. And so the two of them together tend to see the potential of the system and see how we could all, how we need to change the system. And I think that in itself is one of the most powerful things about your gen. Um, so, I think go ahead and put your oh, if you want to send them Nor, it's fine. Um it's, you could just message us. Yeah, there is hope. Exactly, Sammy. That's kind of what I'm saying. There is hope. And your generation, you want to go ahead and put that in, Bright Hawk, and see if you can bring that up. Your generation, Sammy, is actually exactly who we need. Interestingly, yours is also includes the part of fortune there, and they're also in a sextile um to Venus and to the South Node in Taurus. So I don't know if you've like made investments or something, maybe um there's some sort of investment in the past that you might have made, maybe you've already made it, that could be really beneficial to you, especially in the future of how we unravel things. There could be something that benefits you. I don't know what kind of investments or whatever. Typically Scorpio is also pretty good um at intuitive kinds of things. And then on plus of that, Taurus, which is where your south node is, maybe you learned something from your parents or your childhood, or maybe one of your parents was into investing or they helped you invest or whatever it was. It has to do with relationships. That's why I keep referring back to your parents, but it could have came from something else, Sammy. Um, and it's in a trine to these two planets that I'm describing, the Uranus and Neptune. So in your life, this could bring you blessing through seeing through the system or seeing a way through the system, particularly based on past investments. So whatever you've done there, Sammy. uh, yeah, it makes me think about it. So South Node in Taurus is investments. It's in a trine to it's in a sextile, which is also a blessing. Easy comes together easily with Jupiter, which is luck, Venus, which is money and relationships, healing. So I don't know. Maybe you're just maybe it may not have come true yet because your Saturn returns is just now finishing. So sometimes we don't grow into our bigger planets until after our Saturn returns. So technically, according to astrology, you just grew up. You just reached adulthood. Congratulations. So, yes, we are still doing reads. Just ask wifey. Please put up your information, such as your reading, your birth date, location, and stuff, and I'll take a look at that while Bright Hawk takes a look at Nor.
Yeah, I have Nora's chart up. Did you have a specific question? That's always helpful to sort of direct our time. And I know we talked about quite a number of things last time when we looked at your chart. The first thing that always jumps out to me about your chart is your first house is in a T square with the nodes, and you have Neptune and Uranus together. Oh, similar, because you're only a year different than the person we read for previously. I think that was Sammy's chart. So you guys are in the same generation. You're only a year different year. So Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn in the first house. You also have a stellium in the 12th house, which is Jupiter absolutely conjunct at 20 degrees with Venus. So relationships, relationships, relationships. Venus, Jupiter, and Mars in Sag in the 12th house. Wow. Passionate. That feels very passionate to me. Venus, of course, is relationships. Mars, of course, is action, god of war. And Jupiter, of course, makes everything bigger and helps us manifest our destiny. So, a lot of energy in the 12th house. Interesting conversation that we I hope you were here for the conversation earlier. Yeah, marriage, partnership. Noor said, Capricorn in the first house, that explains my ambitions. Yes, 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 yes. I'm very deep, haha, like the ocean. No doubt, no doubt. And so you also, speaking of deep, have the moon pretty close conjunction. It's only 2 degrees apart from the north node. So feeling very destined. And of course, your moon is in Libra. So again, really important. Relationships are really important. And figuring out doing relationship in a good way. Let's see. And Mercury in conjunct your south node. So that's very destined. Do you have children? Your south node is in the 4th house in Aries. I'm just curious if you have kids. Noor says, yes, I'm feeling destined for big things. Always have felt that way since I was a child. Never settled for small. Yeah, with that Jupiter, Venus, Mars, that's really no, I'm unmarried. Well, relationships are clearly, what you're, we're all here to learn how to do relationships, aren't we? We're all here to learn how to connect with others and manifest our destiny. So that my gut instinct, and Hollis, feel free to jump in after this, is that the North Node and the moon so closely together. Listen to your intuition. Oh my goodness, listen to your intuition. I bet you have really good instincts. And if you have a voice that strongly encourages you or quietly encourages you, listen to that voice. North Node is all about our destiny and our future, and it's conjunct your moon, which is our emotional field. And so the two together make me think you're probably very intuitive, more intuitive than you may even realize. What do you think, Hollis?
Oh wait, hold on 1 second.
Okay. Oh, and let me check your comments. I wasn't keeping up. Marriage partnership, Capricorn in the first house explains ambitions. Yes, very deep like the ocean. Yes. Oh, and misunderstood. Okay, so the misunderstood part is probably the 12th house stellium, because the 12th house represents, it's the occult, it's institutions, but it's also can be the house of hidden enemies and self-sabotage. And I'm very familiar with this one because I have it. So things will be going great, but then we'll doubt something, or some fear comes in, and we're the ones who generally derail ourselves, not anybody else. Now, the fact that you have Jupiter, Venus, and Mars all together in the 12th house also represents institutions. And um and let's see, and you have it in Sag, which makes me think institutions of higher learning, which usually is in the 9th house. But Sagittarius is also about higher thinking, philosophy. Sages, we love to have a map for everything. So astrology works really well for us because it's a map. Um, Sages have a desire and a need for deeper meaning. That's what I would say there. Yeah, so Jupiter's
Okay.
amplify that. Go ahead, Hollis. Do you
What I
have
wanted to say, yeah, I do.
okay?
So Noor, I need to ask you. I see that you're from Pakistan. And the thing about the North Node and the South Node, the biggest difference between Vedic astrology and Western astrology, which of course Vedic astrology is more from the Middle East, is the North and the South Node. Because in American culture, most of us want to leave what's in the past, including our families or connections. A lot of us sort of, we're expected to like grow up and grow out. Um, it's just kind of part of our culture. But in your culture, it's actually kind of the opposite, where you're expected to serve your family and be with your family and those sorts of things. But I can see that you struggle with that. There's a part of you that really would like to do things probably for yourself, maybe even in reference to your career, and then that pulls, but your family somehow pulls on that, and there's probably some inner conflict for you. This is an ongoing conflict, and it's actually really common, and it might feel like, yeah, I bet you do. So Nora said, I've done my master's recently, and once I set my mind to something, nothing stops me from achieving it. I believe that, Capricorn rising. Um, and Nora has a turbulent relationship with her mother. I am not surprised about that. Okay. Um, And it's very interesting to me because I happen to know I know actually a lot about your culture in Pakistan. Maybe more than the average American, but you probably know more about my culture. Um, and there's probably a pool to do things. And let me just say, I'm not going to say there's a right or a wrong thing, but some of it might have like some of it has to do with just like your whole generation is kind of like that. Okay, like your whole generation, nor you probably feel like a lot of other people your age kind of have different ideas about where you're going, or what's important to you, right? Okay. And it's a mm, um there's a part of you that wants to be independent from your family, but you consistently feel drawn towards it because of the culture you've been raised in. If you were American, we would be like, go, go towards what pulls you, right? Um, but because of where you were born and the culture you were brought up in, there's this consistent teeter totter back and forth with the moon opposite your south node in Aries. And the thing is that that's not going to change anytime soon. You got a lot going on in Aries over the next couple of years, including Saturn. And I worry a little bit about Pakistan, just because of the level of um, um, violence, war, um, and hopefully you stay safe. Um, but with the South Node in Aries there, Aries definitely speaks to that. And I believe we're all human beings, and I'm a peaceful, loving yogi. So I know you know what that is. So I'm a yogi. So I don't really believe in the current ridiculousness we have going on. But you're in your Saturn returns and finishing your Saturn returns right now. And then so I just want to say your biggest challenge in life is that challenge that I'm speaking at right now. The challenge between your culture and what you want to do with your life, and how you can see yourself going forward, and how that feels so strong, and the relationship with your mother, all of that is kind of your biggest challenge in life. And it's probably, yeah, aha. At the moment, my family is forcing me for an arranged marriage, but I don't want it. Yeah. Ooh. I'm not surprised to hear that. And but I stand in my truth and power. I don't let anything phase me, and I've had to fight for my independence. Yeah, and that's probably not going to change anytime soon. And you're probably just going to fight louder, to be honest with you. Um, yeah. Yeah, it is the 100% the only challenge yet, the biggest one in my family. It's going to be the longest, it's going to be a lifelong battle. I'm just going to let you know more. There's a part of you that wants to be part of it because that's who you are and that's where you're from. And that's Vedic astrology because, you in Pakistan, in the Middle East, they have their own sort of form of astrology. It's called Vedic. And I've studied it. Okay. And I also happen to know a lot about the culture in general just because of my interest. And, um, and that's just going to be a difficult thing for you. Okay. And I mean, you could move abroad. You absolutely could move abroad. Um, could you do it? Yep, you could do it. Um, it could. I wouldn't recommend the United States. Um, Not right now. And you should have astrocartography before you go anywhere. So, no, you're nothing like your mother. That's not in your imagination either, Newer. I know you're nothing like your mother, but you have family connection because of where you were born. Like me, I'm an American, and I just stand up and walk away from my family and never spoke to her again. It's like, I'm 50 years old and I'm just like, nah. Um, so yeah, right. So, and you're saying that you're financially dependent on your mother. Otherwise, I would have moved years ago. I totally get it. And that's a difficult place to be. Um, I've never really had that opportunity, but I
I'm
understand that that's where you are.
I'm just gonna say the North Node with the moon like that sure does feel like there's a past life connection between your mom and you to work out. The moon in the mother in the chart is represented by the moon. Father is represented by Saturn. So um, there's a destined piece of this, probably very uncomfortable because Libra really wants things to be fair and balanced. And when they feel out of balance and out of whack and uncomfortable, it's like you can't get comfortable because it doesn't fit the way a
But for
Libra
her
needs it to fit.
country, she would move towards the
You need to
south.
take yourself off mute, sweetie.
So for her country, so I know we usually, because we're Americans, we usually read the North Node as that's where you're going, but it's not that way in Vedic astrology. It's the opposite. So in Vedic astrology, the North Node is the temptation that is bad for you. And the South Node is where you belong. But see
Okay,
how the
so it's
South Node is in
opposite.
Aries?
Got-
The South Node is in Aries. So for her, it's going to point her towards her own community. She's going to feel like she has to fight Aries with her family to be who she really is. And it's going to create a level of conflict that's just going to be really hard. The best thing you could do is what you're trying to do, Nor, which is to tap into Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. Okay.
And
I
thank you,
believe in.
Nor. I learned some stuff there. That was helpful. I hope it helped you, and we wish you all the very, very best. We are starting to run out of time. I just wanted to quickly answer Corey. Yes, the painting behind me is a painting that I did. I do not have prints of it. I something to think about. We're literally in the middle of moving, so once we're settled this week and start to reunite with all our stuff, I'm sure that will be I could start getting my artwork back in my Etsy
We
store
could maybe
and
we could probably work on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely look
So
forward to it. So
I
I
got
hope
Just Ask
everybody that
Wifey
got readings appreciate the readings that they got and
right off. I got Just Ask Wifey's chart.
oh, okay, sorry.
I just got caught up in Noor's the fascinating I got fascinated with Noor's chart because of the Pakistan, Middle Eastern Vedic astrology thing. Um and because I listened to an entire lecture about the whole north south node with a famous astrologer. Anyway, okay. So just ask wifey. Did you have a specific question? I don't think you had a specific question. I know that Corey does, and I'll get back to her in just a minute. I don't think just ask wifey. She was here a bit ago. Hi, Ashley Lynn. Ashley Lynn put her information in. You could do that if you want. And then I'm gonna just ask wifey. I've looked at my chart before. Oh, okay. But Just Ask Wifey, that's what I remember looking at. And I kind of laughed when I read that because I was like, so you looked at your chart one time. So you're traveling through life and you only check the map once. Ah, boy. You should check your map all the time, at least once a week. Just take a look because first of all, you can always get something new. Second of all, the planets are always moving constantly, and they're aspecting your chart, therefore telling us a different story. And you're a Libra rising, right? Wait. This isn't whole house or something, is it? This kind of looks like no, it's Placidus. She's just a 0 degree Libra rising. Interesting. Okay, so you're a Libra rising and a Sag, and you are a Leo moon. Oh, Leo. Okay. So Leo is often likes to be seen, likes to be heard, likes to be recognized, especially by your friends. And you sometimes probably give more than you should, particularly in relationships, maybe with money. Um, and sometimes you probably give a little bit more than you should. It's probably not in your best interest, just saying. And then also being a Sag, I would caution against overindulgence, particularly unseen overindulgence in a way that sabotages you, in a way that maybe you're kind of like, oh, I kind of overdid it. Oh, okay, good. I always look at my. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, I guess I misread it. I'm entering in a new beginning in love life and just life, though. Oh, okay. You didn't have a question. I always look at my natal chart. Never look just once. Good. Um, and that's the thing. Sometimes people do that though. Just saying. Just ask wifey. Um, people don't know that they can come back and look at their chart. Like they get one reading and they tell me that they're like, oh well, I had a natal chart reading when I was 20, and they're like now 50, and I'm like, the whole point of astrology is you can check all the time, every week. In fact, that's why we do a weekly forecast. Um, and so, you're a Leo moon. So, being that Leo moon is very strong in your chart as well as the Sag part of you. It is, um, do you strongly identify with like a mother figure? Huh. Also, I want to say with all of this, with the North Node in Aquarius, heads up that a little bit later this summer, sorry, you have Saturn in Aquarius. The North Node is moving into Aquarius. So what happened at the eclipse this year? What happened at the eclipse, which was when was the eclipse? It was a couple of weeks ago. Did you pay attention to the eclipse? There was an eclipse, a lunar eclipse in Aquarius, and it kind of gave you a preview of what's going to happen with the North Node. I talked about it a few weeks ago in the forecast. So you should make sure you listen to our forecast so you know when the North Node is going into Aquarius, because when it does, you're gonna know it, hun. You're gonna feel it. Um, it's gonna move right there. I don't know. Are you about to get married? Are you gonna get married? North Node there. You're probably gonna get married or something, or have some sort of commitment. Um, yeah. So I'm connected to a Leo man now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. It'll be later on this year. Okay. Yeah, I know. You just know the basics. Well, I'm telling you to look at your chart down in the fifth house. That's the house of romance, children. Okay. And yeah, yeah. Well, I'm talking about marriage and kids too. The north, so that probably started during the eclipse. And so what's going to happen is the eclipse like gives you like a sort of preview as to what's going to happen. The North Node is your destiny. It's going to move there in front of Juno, which is commitment and marriage, and Saturn, which is at 2 degrees Aquarius. So, the nodes are going to move in there, and they're going to pretty much trigger that part of who you are. They're going to trigger your fifth house. So you're probably going to have both marriage and kids. So, uh, yeah. So go watch our forecast. And at the beginning, Brighthawk tells you we have all the dates of when everything's going to happen, including when the North Node. Here's the link to our forecast on YouTube, and it will include the link right in the beginning, like right after the opening, the first thing after we do our we always do a meditation. After we do that, you should listen to the meditations. It'll help teach you how to help you more deeply and spiritually understand astrology. And then when the North Node moves into Aquarius, that's when that's going to get triggered for sure. Okay. So, real quick, Shawnee is asking for a little bit of help, a little bit of insight as to what's going on in her life. Um, I have her chart on hand. Shawnee is Corey.
Oh.
Corey is a person she lost. Okay. No, thank you, Corey's baby. Thank you, Shawnee. I appreciate you. She says I start my week every week with you guys' forecast. I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing it on your page. Thanks for liking and commenting. It helps us so much. You just have no idea. It's hard for us to get it out there. And when you guys share it with your friends and comment and things like that, it really helps us, And the horoscopes, the video horoscopes are coming. If you look at the Substack, if you follow me on Substack, you'll also be able to read the horoscope there if that's faster for you. So Corey's baby, Shawnee, the Mercury retrograde is happening in the 8th house of other people's money. Yeah. It's also happening in the 9th house of legal matters. That's why you're dealing with this court thing. So that's going on, but it's going to come into Jupiter, which is in Cancer, which is in your 11th and 12th house. So just be careful not to sabotage yourself. Don't overdo things. Don't overspend. Don't promise money you don't have yet. And so be careful of that. Don't spend money you don't have yet. Be careful of that kind of thing, because that's kind of a Jupiter thing, especially when it goes direct. It tends to kind of overindulge, even though it's a really good, it's over usually, but for you, Shawnee, it's in your 12th house, which is your house of self-sabotage. That's why I'm telling you that. Oh, you're welcome, Shawnee. She says, seriously, you guys have taught me so much about astrology. I'm so interested in it now. Well, it's our map to life. I can't imagine life without it, frankly. It makes me sane. So I was Shawnee, I was looking for if there was any other questions. I kind of know what's going on. Oh, here you are. Okay. She asked about your print. Yeah, you're going to therapy and going to a lot of doctors and crap this week. Okay. Well, well, that probably has a lot to do with the South Node in Virgo. And because the South Node in Virgo is wellness anyway. You have Mercury there. The South Node is pretty much on it. The universe is asking you if you're truly dedicated to your body. I don't think you've treated it so well up until this point. So now the universe is saying, are you sure you're really dedicated to this body? and so it's just asking you to kind of prove it. It's kind of a testing type of thing. It'll be over here by the summer when the nodes move, when the south node moves into Leo. You're probably going to have some other stuff to deal with. You might have to, you might, there might be some changes of things. Um, I would agree that everything's trying to get you to where you're supposed to be. This Mercury retrograde is happening um, in your eighth house, which is other people's money, shadow. It's meant to point out some things for you, help you work through emotional struggles. That's probably the therapy and all of that. And it's in a trine to Jupiter, which is in the 12th house, like I said, is self sabotage. But it's also institutions, um, like unseen communities, hospitals, nursing homes, things like that. Okay. Um, and so, you want to be paying attention to that. Um, and I would just say, don't try not to overspend or promise money you don't have yet. And be sure that you don't, um, and be sure that you continue for the next couple of years. I'd say about the next 3 years, you're probably going to be dealing with or speaking to um, your body, and the universe probably wants you to um, show it that you're serious um, about taking care of your body, which just is some consistency. Saturn will usually reward you for daily practices and things of that nature. And Saturn's in Aries right now, and that's going to speak to your Mars and Gemini in the 11th house. And Saturn's in your ninth house of higher thinking. So Neptune is there with it. So you still have a lot to learn. You still have more spiritual awakenings going, and that'll be going on for at least the next 2.5 years. So I just want to give you some range here. And Neptune, the spiritual part, the psychic development will be there probably for like, I think it's 8 years. So don't rush things, okay? Let them happen on their own. Let things unfold as they will. Um, and while there are things that you're having to deal with, just be careful, like I said, of overindulgence. Okay. Um,
Well, we've got a little over. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight and for sharing and for liking and for making it a really meaningful conversation. We really appreciate that. And we wish you all the very, very best this week. Hopefully, it'll go easier and better now that you know what's going on with your chart. And thanks for listening to Rainbow Soul Astrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week, everybody.
hold on, it just didn't have everything that quick. I just wanted to say, um, you can learn about astrology by joining Mystics Academy. There's a link right there. And I'll also put a link in the comments. You can join it. And you can learn all about astrology. I break it down every month with a new class. Right now, we're doing that, and that'll be going on for the next 5 or 6 months. This will be carrying you through, along with being able to meet with me privately in Zoom events. Well, not completely privately. All the other people, all the other members will be there as well. And I encourage you to join with me and learn astrology. Let me help break it down. Let me make it based. And Bright Hawk and I have classes that you can download in there. And then there'll be live events on Zoom where you can ask questions and tap in. You also get coupons to save money on readings and private coaching with me, which is also really priceless. And of course, you can get coaching either like more of a therapy type of thing, or of course, you can get coaching on how to read your own astrology chart. And there's so many different ways to tap in. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. I really appreciate you today. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for tapping in to us tonight. I kind of like these. I don't know if it's just this Sunday night, right, Hawk? I don't know if it's like all Sunday nights, but we had more response tonight than we usually have on Monday nights. So, you guys, we love having you here. We love answering your questions. We love looking at your chart. We love to help you out. So, we really appreciate you. And we appreciate when you share and, share the info with your friends and other people learning astrology. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.